Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Geeks Watch. Today I'm going to talk about the film District 9, which you will see here. When did this film come out? I don't know if that's important or not. Early 2000s. Anywho, minor spoilers, not too many this time, I don't think. The premise of this story is that in the 1980s, a spaceship appeared over the skies of Johannesburg, South Africa. It contained roughly 1 million or so aliens, which were brought to the ground and kind of turned into this community. They're somewhat insectoid in appearance. They're bipedal humanoid, but they have like an exoskeleton. They have like insectoid faces and things like that. They speak in this odd clicking type of language. And the humans in the region start calling them prawns, which is how I will refer to them because they have no other name in the film that I can remember off the top of my head. They are basically in an area called District 9, which has basically become a shanty town and a slum. There is a plan of the human government to relocate them to a new area outside of the city of Johannesburg. And this is being taken care of by the government's handed this off to some corporation, which they're basically going to do for profit. One of the executives of the company appoints his son-in-law to kind of oversee the operation. And he basically goes from shack to shack notifying the prawns that they're being moved, trying to communicate with them. And the prawns basically love cat food. So he basically brings like a sack of cat food to bribe them with and to talk to them. And he discovers this one shack where these aliens have some technology of their own, which by local government they're not allowed to have. When he tries to investigate it, he gets sprayed in the face with this black liquid, which over the course of the film begins to mutate him. And he kind of goes through not just the mutation, but he begins to see how these aliens are treated and begins to empathize with them more and more over the course of the film. That's the basic of the story. This is not, there's some action at the end of the film, but this is primarily more of a personal narrative than like a sci-fi action film. It's a very slow-paced film. The fact that he is mutating and transforming has some body horror elements to it, but it's more about more of a cultural drama than anything else. These alien creatures are treated like crap and obviously prejudiced against. We learned most of them. We learned through the course of the film that they have kind of like an insectoid hive-like structure to their society. They're intelligent, but most of them, a majority of them, are kind of like drones. They're not very intelligent. But like the ones that he discovers the alien technology are the higher ranking ones. The species has multiple layers of like a caste system, but it's more biological than the caste systems we have on Earth right now are more cultural based. You've got the drones, you've got the workers or scientists, at various levels of intelligence. The more higher evolved ones kind of run things. And it was, the advertisements for the film kind of focused more on like the action elements at the end of the film, the action sequences. So I expected more of an action film, but it wasn't. It was much more of a slow burn and much more of a personal piece. this was made on a budget of like 30 million with the special effects. I mean, this was made, like I said, early 2000s. They actually did a lot. I mean, the aliens were done with CGI. The spaceships in the air were done with CGI. But aside from that, the rest of the film was all practical effects. Um, the shantytown where they filmed was an actual shantytown in Johannesburg, or in South Africa at least. And a similar relocation was happening. What happens in the film? This is a film about colonialism, about apartheid, and about prejudice, and about racism, using aliens as a metaphor. The director, Neil Blomkamp, based the story on the apartheid conditions he saw in South Africa. There was a region in Johannesburg, South Africa, called District 6, which was a mixed race area, which was demolished to make room for a whites only area. And this was he initially made a short film called Alive. Was it Alive in Johannesburg? I can't remember the name of the short story. It was like Alive something or other. That was basically expanded to this film. They'd made some changes to it. They made the aliens in the short film had like longer face tentacles. There were multiple ships over the skies of Johannesburg instead of just the one. But the story is very similar. He just took the story and expanded it. GEEXX's journey from being, just a mid-level desk jockey, somewhat smug and arrogant, but likable, very condescending towards the aliens, to understanding their plight and sympathizing with him. In part, initially only because he was becoming one of them, but eventually it becomes more genuine and heartfelt. But there's just this was a strong film in a lot of ways. It was made at a budget of 30 million. It made 280 million at the box office, so smash success. Massive critical acclaim. Roger Ebert gave it, like, his one criticism was the action sequence at the end. He thought it was a great film. He thought the action sequence was unnecessary. I disagree. I won't spoil it, but there is a reason for it, a good reason for it. It makes sense in the narrative of the film. One of the other criticisms was from Nigeria. There is in the film a group of Nigerian gangsters who are not good people, and there are multiple people who said that it portrayed Nigerians badly. But I disagree, because I never thought it represented all of Nigeria. It was just these people were horrible gangsters, and that's where they were from. Nigeria actually had this film banned, and any copies that were found were illegal to own and were confiscated. So, like I said, the shantytowns are real. A little tidbits. Oh, the voices of the aliens, they use a lot of clicks, which is something that actually, in a lot of African languages, they use a lot of glottal stops and clicks in their language, and that was incorporated into the aliens' languages. The other thing was that they made the sound by rubbing pumpkins together. Like, the aliens' voice is a combination of vocal clicks and rubbing pumpkins together to make their voices. I thought that was a neat little twist there. Anything else I want to say? I can't think of any other little tidbits about the making of the film. Who was the lead actor who played GEEXX? It doesn't say. That bums me. I do know. Is it in the doohickey thing? There is no doohickey thing. It's just the disc. So no doohickey thing. I can't, and I wanted to read it because I can never pronounce his name properly. I don't know where he's from. He initially had the guy who played was the main actor in this film, who subsequently went on to do other films. He initially had no plans to be an actor. He kind of wandered onto the set of one of Neil Blomkamp's early features, like his short films and stuff, and just kind of got corralled into it. So he was not intending to be an actor. He just kind of stumbled into it. Another little fun tidbit. Another fun little tidbit. Blomkamp was supposed to direct the Halo movie. They were going to make a movie of the video game Halo, which is a science fiction shooter game. That fell through. And like Peter Jackson was talking to Neil Blomkamp and said, well, what else are we going to do? You know, and that was when he talked about the short film that he had made, and Peter Jackson just said, well, here's $30 million, make your movie. And that's why it says on the cover, Peter Jackson presents a film by Neil Blomkamp. So Peter Jackson just gave this guy $30 million to make this movie, which he did, and did a great job. You know, there's so many little details in the film that I keep saying that. Just because I keep saying that because of all the practical effects they used. You know, they filmed it at an actual shanty town while a similar situation was happening. There are in this film some animal carcasses that are visible. Those aren't props, those are real animal carcasses. They went out of the way to make this movie, to use as many practical effects as they could. And on the budget that they had, you know, early 2000s, CGI was still kind of, it was better, but it was, you know, not always great, but it really holds up over 20 years later. The CGI in the film. And I think one of the reasons it held up so well was that they used so little of it. You know, you really don't see a ton of the aliens. There are scenes. Obviously, you know, they're trying to shut down the district and move these people out and evict them from their current shacks to new shacks. But yeah, this is just really a study of apartheid and racism. And I think it's a powerful piece because of that. And it was just really well done, and I like it. So that's my shtick. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.